Travis Kelce just always seems to have the Chargers' number. He had another great performance against them last week, catching 12 passes for 179 yards and a touchdown. Additionally, he recorded a total EPA of 16.9, a 98.1 offense grade, and a receiving grade of 91. He was everywhere against Los Angeles, was one of the main driving forces behind the Chiefs' victory, and was a thorn in the Chargers' side for the entire game. While I was watching the game, I noticed Chargers head coach Brandon Staley employed a different defensive strategy to stop Kelce, which was a stark contrast to what they did in previous years against the tight end. Instead of playing mostly man coverage against Kelce, the Chargers switched to primarily playing lots of zone coverage, especially soft zone coverage that was dependent on linebackers dropping into the middle of the field, so Patrick Mahomes didn't have space to throw Kelce the ball. I wanted to figure out why this failed, why we saw this sudden defensive switch from the Chargers, and whether or not the plan should have been executed better, or if they shouldn't have even gone through with the plan at all. All those questions will be answered in this video, so let's get started. First, we're going to look at previous seasons to see what the Chargers were doing against Kelce and the Chiefs before, and then take a dive into the game I believe caused Staley to employ their shift in strategy. Staley has always leaned on man coverage against Kansas City. In LA's Week 3 game against the Chiefs in 2021, the Chargers played man coverage 67.1% of the time, and they played man coverage 46.3% of the time in their Week 2 matchup against them in 2022. Mahomes averaged just 5.9 yards per attempt and 6.7 yards per attempt in those two games respectively. And while Kelce wasn't completely contained in that Week 2 game last season, he didn't have the explosion he did last Sunday, catching just 5 passes on 7 targets for 51 yards and no touchdowns. Let's take a look at some of those plays in that game. On this 2nd and 8, Derwin James is tasked with playing man against Kelce and follows him across the field on this motion. This play is designed for Kelce as he's going to run into the flat while Mahomes rolls out to hit him with a pass. He makes the catch, but James is right there to make the tackle, preventing Kelce from getting yards after the catch. Later in the game, on another 2nd and down, J.C. Jackson is playing off man against Kelce, who's running a drag route across the field. Like the last play, Kelce is able to make the catch, but Jackson is able to meet him immediately and make the tackle to avoid Kelce getting so many yards after the catch. Like I said, this didn't completely slow him down, as he still had multiple catches over 10 yards in this game because he's Travis Kelce, but the Chargers did benefit from playing tight to him, just like on this near interception where Asante Samuel nearly gets the takeaway after James plays tight to Kelce's hip and makes him fade his route up instead of coming flat. But later in the season, in their Week 11 game, Kelce was able to beat LA's man coverage over and over again, and I think this is what caused the Chargers to move away from this strategy when facing him this season. He had 3 touchdowns in that game, including the game-winning catch with 31 seconds left to go. It started in the first quarter, where Samuel is the one tasked playing one-on-one coverage against Kelce. Kelce is running this crossing route, and Samuel is going to have a hard time covering it because of Kelce's quick cut inside and this corner route from Jody Fortson. The combination of the two resulted in Kelce burning Samuel, making the catch, and recording a 27-yard gain. And later in the game, he would do the same thing for a 32-yard gain. This play is a 3rd and 8, and this time, Kenneth Murray is the one playing man coverage against Kelce as he runs this out route. Murray is playing inside shade on Kelce, which means as soon as Kelce releases and makes his cut to the outside, Murray didn't stand a chance. After all of that happens, Kelce makes the catch, is able to turn a corner into Chargers territory for the big gain, and scores his first touchdown later in the drive when Andy Reid draws up a bubble screen for him. And that was just the beginning. He was only getting started. His other 2 touchdowns again came on man coverage, starting with this 3rd and 4 play. Samuel is again lined up against Kelce and is playing 5 yards off him this time as Kelce runs a drag route across the middle of the field. This time, the man covering Kelce is playing outside shade, meaning Kelce has a free release and runs across the middle with little resistance. Samuel is playing catch up the whole time and can't break up the pass on a dive, resulting in a catch, a turn upfield, and a broken tackle from Kelce en route to the end zone. And at the end of the game, he scored the game-winning touchdown in a similar fashion on this 1st and 10 play. This time, James is the one covering Kelce, and we again see the man lining up against Kelce playing outside shade. The play almost exactly mirrors the previous one. Kelce is running a drag route, gets a free release and an easy catch, James can't catch him on a dive, and Kelce is able to make his way into the end zone to win the game for the Chiefs. So yeah, Kelce and the Chiefs found a way to not just beat LA's man coverage, but make a mockery out of it, and I think Staley and the Chargers overreacted as a result. The reason I say that is because of the change I mentioned at the start of the video, where LA decided to play more zone coverage to try and beat Kelce instead of man. Here's the problem with that. The Chiefs are one of the best zone beating teams in the entire NFL, and if you give Travis Kelce lots of room to run, he's going to take advantage of it. And that's exactly what he did, as Kelce was able to find open space after open space against the Chargers last Sunday. Most of what the Chargers did was relying on linebackers to cover the space Kelce was running in, and it didn't work. At all. Kansas City had a simple answer to this, because all Kelce did was just run past those linebackers and sit in the open space before being thrown the ball. At least when LA played man coverage against Kelce, they were able to be a little bit physical with him. In this game, however, Kelce was running around almost unbothered before he was making his catches, and he was left open play after play. It started on the first drive of the game when Kelce runs this route before sitting down in some open space. James drops down to create a one-high safety look as the Chargers prepare to drop him and two other guys back into the middle of the field. All Kelce has to do is simply run past everyone, and even more space is created once Mahomes steps up outside the pocket, forcing these two guys to come forward towards him and respect a potential run. Mahomes then just throws a simple lob towards Kelce, who makes the catch and gets some yak for a 28-yard gain. The Chiefs then notice this shift towards zone and call some plays to manipulate it in order to give Kelce some space. On this 3rd and 3, nobody follows Kelce on his motion, confirming the zone coverage, specifically this kind of coverage on the wide side of the field. Kansas City sends Sky Moore on a whip route because they know Eric Kendricks will have to follow it, leaving Kelce by himself in the middle of the field. And once Kelce sits down in the open space, he's able to make the catch. Dean Marlowe is there to make the tackle, but not before Kelce gets the first down. On the very next drive, Kelce again finds space in the middle of the field. Like he was throughout the first half, Eric Kendricks is the one dropping back into the middle of the field, but Kelce just runs right past him again, sits down in the open space, and gets in line with Mahomes for him to make an accurate pass for the first down. Just like the first play I showed you, this was made too easy for Kelce, and another example of MOF zones not working for the Chargers against him. He did the same thing on the drive after that, splitting the two zones between Kendricks and Jasir Taylor to find some space and make an easy catch. This time, he makes a stutter step to buy his time before pouncing into the open space and making a slight cut to the outside to make sure he's open. And on the drive after that, Kelce did the same thing again when he ran past Kendricks and Murray before sitting and waiting for Mahomes' pass. This time he has to release off the line thanks to a chip from Joey Bosa before running across over the middle. He gets by Kendricks before sitting right behind Murray waiting for the pass. Mahomes has to make an off-platform throw, but he still gets the ball into the open space for his tight end. Do you see a pattern here? These reps always played out the same. Kelce ran towards the middle and made a slight cut before stopping and sitting in whatever space the Chargers left open for him. And once the Chiefs noticed this, most of the plays didn't even have one route trying to clear space for Kelce. It was more of everyone running routes to the outside to shift defenders toward the sideline. Because of this, Kelce was left all alone in the middle of the field most of the time, and all he had to do was find the remaining linebacker to run past. It worked even better because Mahomes and Kelce have such good chemistry with one another. The Chargers obviously needed a change, and were later forced to switch back to man coverage, and it worked better against Kelce, as well as the entire Chiefs offense. LA held Kansas City to just 7 second-half points, and Mahomes to 103 passing yards on 5.4 yards per attempt in the final 2 quarters. And after catching all 9 of his targets for 143 yards and a touchdown in the first half, Kelce just had 3 catches for 36 yards in the second half. The primary change that occurred was putting James on Kelce a lot underneath, with safety Dean Marlowe doubling him over the top. It helped to contain Kelce, which makes me wonder why this wasn't the strategy for the entire game. And when they played man against Kelce, the Chargers were even forcing some incompletions when the ball was thrown his way, like on this 3rd and 8 play. This time, Taylor is on Kelce, who's gonna run this route. Before he breaks into it, Kelce puts a double move on Taylor, faking to the inside before breaking back to the outside. Even with that, Taylor managed to stay tight with Kelce, even as he goes up the field to help out Mahomes as he scrambles. When Mahomes steps up to throw the pass, it's a bit out in front of him, allowing Taylor to break up the pass as Kelce adjusts to it. I don't know about you, but I'd rather play that tight to Kelce than have him sit in open space with no one around him all day. Sure, Kelce is probably still going to make plays against man coverage looks. After all, he's the best tight end in all of football. He's bound to have an impact on the game at some point. But you're just not going to beat him by trying to take up passing lanes and zone coverage. He and Mahomes will find the space they need to make a play happen. I'd at least try to make him work for his catches instead of just letting him roam around in the middle of the field. Like I said earlier, I think what happened on Sunday was the result of Staley and the Chargers both overthinking and overreacting to what happened last season. I think they felt Kelce had figured out their man coverage, and they needed to drastically change their game plan to cover him. Hindsight is 2020, and sure, you can argue that they could have executed it better, but they didn't even need to do that at all. It's extremely hard to stop Kelce, and it's even harder to stop Mahomes, but the Chargers were better off playing what works for them. They might still get burned, but at least they would have given themselves a fighting chance. That'll end things here. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, comment your thoughts, and share this video with others. And as always, thanks for watching.